Cris Pannullo returned for his 18th game on Jeopardy! He won his 17-day total of $610,344 after surviving a second scare in a row. Before I get to Ken's preamble, I'm actually worried for Cris in this game just because it's his 18th, and especially seeing this past week. Last time there was an 18-day winner, Matea Roach survived her second of 3 scares in a row. Ken Jennings and James Holzhauer barely won their 18th game, and Matt was struggling at the end of the first round, which resulted in a lock-in game at the end of Double Jeopardy! Ken Jennings, James Holzhauer, Matt Amodio, and Matea Roach survived this scare in their 18th games. Let's see how Cris' 18th game will turn out. Obligatory thumbs up. Ken Jennings' instruction was, yesterday was exactly the kind of show we like to see here on Jeopardy! Exciting gameplay, great competition, and a dramatic finish as Cris Pannullo eked out the win with the correct Final Jeopardy! Response. That may be heartening for you, Jeanette and Randall, as challengers, because he was looking pretty nigh invincible last week. Jeanette is a beautiful name. 2 of the categories form the phrase, elementary, my dear Watson, a famous quote that Sherlock Holmes never said. Speaking of which, a question of a non-quote does come up later on.
He got both daily doubles.
Cris got all 3 of the daily doubles. Cris got the first daily double, weighted 1,000, got it right, and went to $1,800. Psychologist John B. Watson was a proponent of this ism that focuses on human reaction to stimuli. I felt bad for Cris. He answered, what's behavioralism, which is incorrect. No one else buzzed in to answer, what is behaviorism? Cris was so close. Cris and Randall were tied at one point. The longest title of an Oscar-nominated film begins with his name and ends, Make benefit one's glorious nation of Kazakhstan. After Cris answered, what is Borat? Ken told him, very nice, as the audience laughed. Okay, I'll admit that I wouldn't have been able to tell it was a Borat impression otherwise. My just now saying very nice sounded even worse just because I'm sick. Randall ended the first round winning $6,200. Jeanette was in third place at $800, and Cris was in the lead at $8,400. Cris got the first daily double in Double Jeopardy! For the second round in a row, Cris found the daily double after answering the first question. He wagered $7,600. That's actually a lot now that I read it out loud. Got it right, and went to $17,200. After losing 4 times running for governor of Massachusetts, he finally won, then got seriously into redistricting issues. The answer was Gary, Elbridge, Jerry. Which Ken added that's where gerrymandering comes from. I mean, you know what I was going for the pronunciation. Should I even mention the last time Jerry came up in the run of one of the super champions? Cris got the second daily double in Double Jeopardy! Risked $4,000. Unfortunately, answered wrong as he ran out of time and went down to $20,800. After hearing an orator speak in a foreign language, a Shakespeare character admits it was these 3 words. The answer was Greek to me. I guess you could say this daily double question was all Greek to Cris. Jeanette being a retired English teacher, I wonder if she would have known. Nobody answered the last question in Double Jeopardy! Cris was in the lead at $28,800. Randall was in second place at $12,600, and Jeanette was in third place at $3,600. The Final Jeopardy! Category was flags of our hemisphere. The question was, the stars of this country's flag represent states, 26 of them. Unlike the USA's, its federal district gets its own 27th star. The answer was Brazil. Jeanette was the only one to answer correctly. All Ken pointed out was she crossed out Mexico, and it was lucky she did. So odd not to hear any further background information as to how that was the answer. Cris risked $1,221 and went down to $27,579 and is now at an 18-day total of $637,623. Technically, the wager of 1-2-2-1 is the 21st of December, not February. Cris may have survived the 18-game Jeopardy! Scare by making it a runaway, though he hasn't seemed like himself. Let's see if he can tie David Madden and Jason Zafinieri's records.
And as always, thank you for watching.